Alright, I'm in the video. Comment. People. Person. Probably the cowboy, probably the same assholes. You get these minority of people, it's how life really works on planet Earth, that just make life difficult for everybody else. And, cause us to have to go through a bunch of grief. Like the terrorists, and then you have to go through all this bullshit security and metal detectors and all this crap because some people are just obnoxious assholes. And comment sections make that kind of obvious. And so first he shows up with some douchebag name. These whores ain't loyal. So we're supposed to, even on the face of it, he's using this gross generality, not unlike some kind of racist or something. And so you're automatically, this is going to be an idiot. And it's just, and then all this slop is pasted here as if somebody has to respond to it. And I've explained before how comments are different than videos. My video doesn't autoplay in your face when you load your channel on YouTube. Comments are almost obligatorily read when you produce a video, and so it's different than a video. It's not as, this is heckling, essentially, comments. And if you're going to heckle, do it creatively. And if you can't do it that way, then I say tough shit, make a video. And then I can play your video. And it'll be there for people to see what a big fucking imbecile you are. But yeah. So anyway, you're going to be blocked now. So he says, coward blocked me again. No, you weren't blocked. Somebody likely marked your comment as spam because they are obnoxious and disgusting and stupid. And they should be, in the sense that they're just full of empty accusations made without any evidence or even a tiny bit of logic tied to them. When will you ever learn? If I need to post something, I will do it. You can't run away, pussy. So now you're an extortionist, saying, I don't care about any other interpretation of how things should work in terms of fairness. I don't care whether this is YouTube where people make videos. I'm going to carry my bullhorn around, and anytime anybody else starts talking, I'm going to try to shout them down. Now go ahead. Do exactly what the terrorists do. Yeah, use their tactics, and that'll impress rational people. No, it won't. And he says it in capitals, I will do it. Alright, you can't run away, pussy. There's nothing to run away from but the obnoxious smell of, no doubt, your foreskin. I have lost all respect for you. Like I could care something? No, I couldn't. I have never met an intellectual coward like you ever. I mean, a preposterous exaggeration, considering that I do respond to videos, that I do play videos, and that I do read comments. So again, you make these false accusations, and yet you're supposed to think, well, I'm Mr. Credible here on the internet. I'm the fact checker. I'm the guy. No, you're not. You're a slanderer, a liar, a stinker, and a potty mouth. And that's all. I have to go sleepy, but I must admit I'm impressed, Gary. You have not said anything too stupid. Last 13 minutes today. Good job, but whatever, first part. So, I probably should read the other idiotic video first. I mean, comments. I mean, big long piles of this crap with time codes to make these stupid arguments. And these are redundancies. I have to go to sleep. Tell you the truth, I'm impressed. It's the same exact comment twice. 2 different spam accounts. And you wonder why you should be blocked? Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't be allowed to do this in any rational media. All right. Let's see. So again, this waste of time, even with comments like this. Oh, this is going to be fun. Let's see what you've got to say here. Like, see, I have to waste my time reading crap like this. I'm sure the material will be glorious. Again, just more pointless crap. Okay, he blocked me again, so I'll post here. It's the same account. You'll post what? As a reply to your video and your own comment? I don't know. And again, this same accusation just restated again. Speaking of rape, you still haven't replied to my challenge I posted you. I said if a woman did not report rape to the police, she did not get raped for all legal intents and purposes. Thunderfoot wasn't talking about a woman having some, because women were asking for the right to be automatically declared legally raped. No, the argument was, Thunderfoot made this rational argument that, well, if a woman really thinks she was raped, why wouldn't she go to the police? I mean, if she was really raped, why wouldn't she go to the police? Well, she wouldn't go to the police because she was at a party and she trusted a man and she didn't say, I'm going to resist until he breaks my jaw. And so then she got raped. It has nothing to do with any legal definition. The argument was, you don't understand that most rapes happen in a circumstance where the evidence collecting machine isn't running. There's no videotape of the encounter. You can't understand how some shoplifter could steal from a store and the store doesn't have a videotape. They know the little fucker stole the shit, but they don't have evidence, so they don't go to court. They don't call the police in to come arrest somebody the next day because they know they're not going to have evidence that he stole stuff yesterday. You don't understand how that could happen, and that's the whole point of the argument, is that you haven't spent 10 seconds thinking about what it's like to be a woman, and yet you're going to opine on what their rights should be. And you don't have any, you haven't done any work at all on this subject of thinking about it. You're a bigot, and that's clear, and you're so blinded by that bigotry and that fucking hate and that whatever it is you have, okay, that notion in your head, that you're completely unfair, and you can't even see that. Insanely unfair to think that rape is some obvious thing, like you turn purple when you've been raped. The woman automatically turns purple, so we'll know she was raped. That doesn't happen, jackass. Most interactions between men and women happen in circumstances that aren't recorded. And now, fortunately, maybe you'll even say that it's very good that there's now a bunch of public cameras to watch. But you're probably against that because you are a rape defender. You do have the psychology of a person trying to get away with something. And it's in your rhetoric, and it's in your style. You overtly stink of a terrorist. You're a smelly, stinking sack of shit. And you make it obvious. Why should I read any further? Haven't you already proven the case? Every sentence is veiled in your stupidity. Okay, so legal intents and purposes. You seem to disagree. No, I've made a video on it. I've mentioned it at least 4 times. I thought it was incredibly dumb of Thunderfoot, an intellectual, smart guy, to say something that dumb. Because it's just so aggressively stupid. And in the context of the conversation where we're sort of talking about, we're as if men who actually know some women. He obviously doesn't know any women. He's never even had a conversation with a woman. Women are for him candy to be used and, spit out when done. He has obviously no relationship in any deep way with any female that, I don't want to be derogatory in some negative way, that looks like something, okay? Because any woman who looks like something has stories about where, fuck, I almost got fucked, or they did. And that's just the truth. I mean, it happens every single time. I mean, every single one, except, maybe they're 10 or something. It's just a liability. And it's real. And it's in the world. And you're pretending it doesn't exist. And that's disgusting. A huge burden that women have to walk around with is, well, Thunderfoot has this theory that, it's cougar country out there in the real world. And if I don't, and I'm not allowed to smear, meat juice on me. So that means I can't wear a mini skirt. Because if I wear a mini skirt, that means I want to get raped in Thunderfoot-ese. Profoundly stupid remarks. Especially coming from people fighting, arguing that Islam is insane and chauvinistic and this and that and the other thing, when that's exactly what Thunderfoot is saying, is women should be wearing burqas. I mean, it's so hilarious that he did this whole draw Muhammad crap when he is basically a Muhammad believer. He actually thinks women should stay in their place, and their place is being something a man owns, a possession, and he must keep it in a safe burqa because all the other men will be stimulated too much. And they'll steal his candy if he doesn't burqa it. Laughably stupid. And again, such a incredible lack of imagination not to realize that that's the real circumstance. That women are. Like I said, I never even have to give it a thought when I go for a walk in the woods that, a bunch of those southern bubbas or something from Deliverance are going to show up and, try to oink me or, has to play some role-playing game and rape me. I don't really have to realistically worry about it. But the fact is, a woman does. And you don't want to even acknowledge that burden? You're such a piece of scum? Man. I mean, I can, I understand that you want to, you're living your life saying, what's in it for me? I didn't feel a thing. Rape doesn't bother me any. I'd actually like to be raped because you never get any human contact because no one can get anywhere near you because of your droopy, smelly foreskin. That you think is some kind of woman conspiracy. That all the fathers for thousands of years agreed to this procedure and often paid the rabbi for it or whatnot. Because the woman made them. Huh? No, it's probably because they said, hey, my penis kicks ass. This is the way to go. New and modern. Not dinosaur penis. God, you're just such an idiot. You seem to agree. I remember you foaming at the mouth claiming that it's ridiculous to say that if a woman does not report rape, then she did not get raped. Yes, that's what I said. I challenge your bullshit. Where's your reply? I've already replied to this idiocy. The reply is in the original statement. You don't change the action by saying we legally recognize it happened or we don't legally recognize it happened. That doesn't change what happened. And if a woman's raped and she chooses not to go to police, I say she still has a right to report what happens. And as I've stated, if a woman falsely claims to be raped, that's a greater crime. Bearing false witness, okay, as much as I hate religion, they did get a couple things right. Thou shalt not kill, this little simple, thou shalt not steal. Simple things they got right, and one of the simple things is making false accusations is a crime. And it's one of the fundamental crimes. So you don't do that. And if you do it in a court and you make a false accusation about somebody else's claim that puts them in jeopardy, it's worse than rape. That crime should get you more jail time than actually committing a rape. So there's no hypocrisy here. There's no hidden agenda here. Now, perjury always traditionally was against the law, and and yes, it seems quite obvious that they're letting people do all kinds of lying to Congress and lying everywhere, and nobody seems to have to pay for any of that, and that doesn't seem right at all. But that's not anything I'm advocating for, and you seem to be. So that's the difference between us. Another time code. Like I said, he thinks somebody's going to go through the video again, pressing his time codes. I mean, you know, that's another laziness here. You have some obligation, even when you post a time code, to make it so the argument you're making is addressable. You really don't have a right to tell people, oh, go listen to the video again so I can do my in-comment reply. So you got to man up and play by the same rules. You get a permit, I get a permit. You know what I mean? We both rent the free speech space in equal manner. I don't heckle you when you're talking. You don't heckle me when I'm talking. That seems fair enough, asshole. Oh, how naive of you, baby boy. Number one thing that interests women is your wallet. So again, that's your generalization. I think that can be demonstrated not to be true because there's lots of men of limited means who have a certain charm and they're able to maintain relation with women. There's even men who have no charm, but women are kind of devoted. And that's the irony of your name. These whores ain't loyal. A lot of women are pretty fucking loyal. More loyal than I'd ever be. Not whether you make her laugh or not. Well, again, I think the evidence is substantially overwhelming on that subject. You can be an asshole. I mean, you know, what trophy wives are out to get, you know, is a different subject. We're talking about the average woman who's not in the I'm going to be a trophy Olympics. You can be an asshole, but if you are a obediently paying simp, she'll put up with you no problem. So again, more bullshit. Like I said, there's every evidence that there's a ton of women trapped in really horrible relationships. They're beaten, their children are beaten, they're very bad, and the woman still thinks, well, he's going to get better soon. Women are much better than men at compartmentalizing their feelings. More generalizations, meaning what, who knows, who cares. That's, by the way, how they are capable of having sex, unlike males, why completely zoned out mentally. No, they're zoned out mentally because their physical parts aren't penises. And the rewards they get for sex are different than a male's rewards because they have one egg that's getting fertilized in the game, and they possess it, so to speak. And where men have every interest in scattering their jizz everywhere, a woman has more biologically, the interest is get the best little swimmer. And so again, you're just acknowledging you have no understanding of basic biology and basic evolutionary science, and are just making up some kind of nonsense that women have the same sensations as males, yet they're playing some mental game to pretend they don't have a penis when they physically don't have a penis, idiot. With just her body physically involved. Again, she doesn't need the same incentives. She doesn't have the same biological incentives. So it's just kind of silly to talk about women as if they're just men in dresses, because they're not. But that's way above your pay grade. Perfectly stated in the context of what I just said. Yes, apparently your pay grade is, you'll do anything for, a few ounces of booze. We won't go there. Sorry for my digression. It doesn't really matter, because yes, it will evaporate eventually. Like all rotten things, it'll eventually decompose. So far, so good. Not too cringy yet. Well, again, unfortunately, you haven't escaped being incredibly cringy, stupid, ignorant, and all that. So somewhere I said solid person. So that's what you call an obedient ATM machine, a utility. Like how you wrap it up. I like how you wrap it up. Yes, I talk about human beings as being things that function. Half their function is what they feel, and half their function is what the rest of the world will feel. The pain they cause, like you. The stinks they make, and when they do really bad calculating. You're a really bad calculator of the truth. Okay, so then he goes, oh no, sugar daddy syndrome is reversible. It's a female thing. 99% of women marry up. Again, just make something up. Meaning they do not bother with men earning less than them. 99% of women don't do that. So again, just a lie. It's called hypergamy. Who cares? I don't care. It's called a fantasy of yours. And it's a deeply built-in evo-psych mechanism, whatever, that females are driven by. Again, just absolute nonsense. Money isn't anything to do with our evolutionary history. Status is more to do with what the man, in biological sense, is more to do with how they behave. And that's why confidence will often be talked about by experts in the field as being something women find attractive. Because to be confident in a real world environment, you usually had to have the goods. If you did your peacock thing, look at all my feathers, and you didn't beat the shit out of some people beforehand to make sure everybody knew you weren't a faker, yeah, you got the shit kicked out of you. Simple truth. You couldn't be confident in the biological environment without earning it. And now people can be without earning it. They can buy it. They can inherit it. Like little Donald, your buddy, your pal. Oh, Gary, you have so much to learn. No, you have you're so stupid that learning probably isn't a possibility. I mean, you haven't gotten these basic understanding of what a preposterous exaggeration is, basic understanding of you have to pay attention what somebody says. Nobody in the conversation about rape was talking about what is legally defined. Like, the assumption was you already knew there's a difference between the legal process of conviction and the actual fact of a thing happening. That many crimes go unpunished because you have to prove them. Gee. Alright, so it's 7:32. That's right. Women can ignore personal qualities of a male in favor of material benefits a male can bring. Yes, and males can do that also, except the catch is their hardware is dependent on a physical arousal, and that's a problem where women don't really have the same mechanism, and so therefore, and it's certainly not one based on visual appearance again, so it's like the roles are reversed. Like a female peacock is totally visually fooled. Just show up with pretty feathers, you win. So that's like men are in our species. Men look for the pretty feathers. And it's the women who are looking for something more. Alright, because females are much less into males than males are into females. So another, just pulled out of your ass pile of shit. Women, in my opinion, are much more dependent on relationships than males. Males can go rogue, and it's no big deal. Women tend to not be able to find that a meaningful life. They're much more service oriented, taking care of men and taking care of children, generally speaking. Women do not fall in love the way men do. Well, again, men don't fall in love, they fall in lust. And so again, you can't even get these words even close to correct. To call what men feel love, when men are the ones guilty of the one-night stands, you know, generally speaking, guilty of the just possessing it and then throwing it away attitude, and to call that love is kind of silly, when obviously that's just lust. So again, you just can't get a single fact right. This, by the way, makes perfect sense because they, the females, are the gatekeeper of reproduction. Well, frankly, the condom is now the gatekeeper, and the condom can be understood by men and women in its function. So it's really a whole different game. I know you don't like this whole modern thing, but it happened. There's airplanes, all kinds of stuff. Not the other way around. So women can compartmentalize her feelings for a male if the male overall provides. So again, this is your description. Clearly, both men and women fantasize. Okay, both men and women are capable of saying, I wonder what she would look like with 20 less pounds. And saying, oh yeah, that works for me. You know, they can do that. They could augment the reality with selective thinking. But again, to say that women are the only ones guilty of this crime is idiotic. Then he costs. Again, so again, he's still arguing as if most women, especially the women having children, are married to Prince Rainier or something. No, not the truth. When a man is into a female, oh dear. So this is why I don't think much of the male sex, is because they're really dumb. He is really into her. Irrationally and fully. No, superficially. Irrationally and superficially. He's just driven by an idea that because the woman is attractive by his sensibilities, that she's desirable. It's worth having in his collection. He's collecting paintings, essentially. Hence the millennia of, I don't know what this is, love poems by males to females and not the other way around. And again, what's the overall blah 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 of those stories? They get tired of their possession quickly and go whoring around. The cheating begins. When a woman is into a male, she is into what he can do for me aspect of him. Well, again, if you don't think that men complain if women don't give them good enough blowjobs. I mean, you've all become preposterous sissies. In other words, females are way more practical and calculating in their choice than men. They're making a different calculation, I'll grant you that. But to say men don't calculate, don't scheme for trivial possession is just such a lie. Let's see, that's why, by the way, females cope with breakups and divorces so much better than males. Again, something you say, I don't think there's any evidence demonstrating that. It's just that men find it, men are more ego dependent, and they find it a huge reduction in their ego status to be bitch whipped, or whatever you want to call it. And so, you know, they have to go get their revenge and kill and all the rest of it. But it's not because they love the person or they care about the person. It's that the person violated their feathers. That's where your ignorance comes out. No, it's your ignorance. Men compete with other men not for possession, but for privilege. So, sorry. I think that's just idiotic nonsense. Men's perception, the want drives them. Then when they have, they gain less and less appreciation. They take it for granted, and they want to see what the newest car is. So it's like the man who keeps buying the new model. It's kind of obvious they're got a problem. They aren't satiable. And yes, we're all made to be a bit insatiable. That's how the evolution works, idiot. It's quite cruel and stupid, and you're being gamed by it and seem to be satisfied with playing that role. Let's see. The privilege to be bestowed a chance to reproduce by the gatekeeper of reproduction, aka the female. So again, this idea that men want to reproduce when that's not what they're doing, the end result of the desire mechanism is reproduction. But again, men have lots of advantage to spreading it around if they have it to spread. But there's still advantage also to spreading it in circumstances where the byproducts will likely survive, and that has to do with men's disposability. But again, the biggest fight men have is with other men. We're obviously competing with each other for the rights to a harem. That's the fundamental biological function. Men are biological subservient to women. So again, another statement. No, nothing obvious in that at all, except the fact that men are dependent on the harem to define their status. That's the great plight of men. Men get a trophy wife. You don't understand what that means, but they get a wife suitable, that makes it look like a badge. So now they have a badge. And now they're worth something. And their wife proves it. That's the root of all male behavior and of male disposability. We can't have it both ways. The disposability just has to do with the fact that obviously a pregnant woman can't be killed or her baby won't get born. So yes, the male, once he has deposited the sperm, is no longer substantially necessary. If there'd be greater value in killing him first before you kill the baby. Men are more, supplicants, disposable sex that has to prove themselves worthy of the most important resource in the world, the womb. So again, obviously in 2017, this doesn't have much to do with our sexuality. We are aroused by images and scenarios, you could even say, that our psychology has developed through our maturation in the cultural meme world that we're raised in. What women look like, I don't know what SpongeBob is doing to people, but it's probably making them a little kinky. And we're deriving our sexual satisfaction, and it's pretty far removed from any biological necessities now. So it's really just meme perversions and narratives that we play in our head in terms of fantasies. And that's what you see in porn, and that's what you see in movies, and that's what you see in a lot of things. It's just a bunch of stuff intended to be to pique your sexual interest. Female run in circles in which horny males are mere clowns. And again, you could argue the other way around in the sense that women are also driven to role playing by a man who's loud enough. Females sit back and watch his poor bastard fight to the death for a chance to give her the dicking. And again, I don't even think she's it's not even about giving her the dicking. It's about the fact that the woman will find the male interesting, whether she gets dicked or not. Where men are really interested in doing the dicking. It's men who are really obsessed with the physical act, where women are more or less like a magnet. They're attracted, but there's nothing obvious. The dicking isn't it just isn't obvious that, oh yes, I want to be fucked by him. That's not exactly. They want to be wanted, they want to be needed, they want to be close, but they're not quite sure if they actually want that stinky thing in their wonderful vagina. That might not be something that's obvious to them immediately, or that's a driving force, where men really do just think about, I want to fuck her. What you really mean to say is that marriage is basically a woman looking for an ATM. I mean, a man. Well, again, I'm not saying that, so I don't even know where that came up in this. But again, I just think it's stupid to go back to any kind of biological history to find rationalizations for modern sexuality, because it really just doesn't work. We're too far removed, and everything about it's like you can see this in other simians. Even they're mimicking we mimic things we see, and we've been trained to play roles, and those roles really don't have anything to do with any necessity that exists in the real world anymore. So the roles we're playing are pretty silly narratives. An average bitch fucks a bunch of alfs in her 20s. Let's see, it couldn't be an average one. So those bitches are actually called sluts. And yes, that's a real phenomenon. Yeah. And but that's not the average bitch. And then, in fear of rapidly approaching wall, she quickly snags herself a beta to marry and exploit. So again, this scenario is what percentage you're claiming of the female population that follow that particular strategy. And again, you're going to persecute all women because of those women. Just as I should persecute all men because you're this stupid, I should assume all men are this stupid and treat all men as if they're as big a dumbass as you. That's how it works. But yeah, you surprisingly get the gist somewhat right. Well, if you're saying so, I must have said it wrong. Women are in complete, total, absolute control of reproduction. Well, sensibly, the egg has to develop for 9 months inside of the woman. That's not necessarily a mechanism of control, it's a burden, and that's what you don't seem to understand. You've been liberated from these burdens, and yet you're talking shit, and that just seems really dumb. It seems insensitive and ungrateful. You seem incredibly ungrateful. You have a penis, you don't have to get pregnant, you don't have periods, and yet you're bitching. That just seems really, 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 really petty. Let's see, men have absolutely no fatherhood rights, and they should have them because that, of those billions of sperm they created, that was such a contribution they made, that sperm, that they're entitled to something. So, we're back to your way of thinking about the world, right? That Donald Trump is entitled because, he inherited it. and that's earning. You're retarded. If the bitch gets herself pregnant, she and solely she has the choice to abort or give birth. Well, that's also something in some places that isn't so clear. And yes, in my opinion, it certainly should be. And if you can't understand the grotesque difference in the physical obligations created, what pregnancy means, it being fundamentally different for the man's experience versus the woman's experience, if you can't see that huge difference, and that if you make the decision proportional to the investment, it seems quite obvious that women should have 9,999,999% of the decision, retard. Man, you're really dumb. Women drive all reproduction. So again, they don't drive it. Men do in many cultures, and it's quite disgusting. And they're doing it for their little silly ego reasons. And they pretend that they're doing it for God, but obviously they're in a socialization. They've been socialized in an environment where somehow producing children is the measure of your manhood. They don't actually pull out their dicks and say who's got a bigger one. They just count how many bitches and how many kids you've fathered. At the end of the day, all the new people born, all the suffering imposed, entirely in women's hands. So again, I don't mind. I'm not against an accurate generalization about who's to blame, but this isn't accurate, because we know that most of the world, women aren't even educated in many of these countries, so they're not even given a chance to understand that having a different role to play. So that's just a lie. Sorry, that's just a lie. I mean, Islam is the largest and growing religion in the world, and clearly, by definition, women don't have these rights. Rhetorical question, though. You don't have an answer. Wink, wink. Well, if that's a rhetorical question, and you haven't acknowledged the existence of Islam, or the fact that much of Judeo-Christian nonsense is also based on the same chauvinism and the same perception that the woman's narrative or life story is somehow less interesting than the male role play. Nothing in depth about the struggle for the woman. Much in depth about the male angst. Clearly a bias. And again, you can't see these clear biases, which makes you really fucking stupid. So again, if you're going to bother commenting on my videos and you want to do it in some sort of routine manner, you're going to have to do it better than this. And you're going to have to show up with a name that isn't revolting. Those are sort of the obligations. I have a right to say I'm not going to watch Pukey Puke's videos. I mean, a guy could have a channel tomorrow and call it Pukey Puke. And I have a right to say, no, I'm not gonna click on that. Fuck that asshole. You don't have a right to show up my comment section and Pukey Puke in it. You gotta do better than that. So yeah, fuck you. Fuck off. Quit being a phony. Grow some balls and a real identity. And if you're gonna claim your face isn't, hairy anus, then prove it. If you're going to claim that you're not just some bitter loser, why don't you show it? Let's see what you got, peacock man. You show me how you're the beautiful peacock, but the women just don't appreciate it, and they hurt your little feelings somehow. Why don't you tell your little sad, they hurt my feelings story, and now I have to defend rapists? Why don't you explain why you're defending rape, idiot, and rapists, and rape culture, by denying something so obvious, which is most rapes aren't reported. You complete retard. Alright, anyway. Sorry for this distraction. Yeah, trolls are just so useless. So destructive, so unproductive to communication. It's just really annoying that they exist. Anyway, till next time.